SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Good morning. So, how was your experience over the last few lectures? In the last lecture, I was discussing about the behavioral principles, in which we have discussed about the base planes, vertical planes and the overhead planes which makes a space, and then how to measure very approximately what is the degree of explicitness of that particular space, whether it is architectural or landscape. In architectural it becomes very solid, 10 is the value, maybe slightly discounted with the glazing and all that, but in landscape 10 is bad. If you attend 10, it is bad. So, now there is another aspect of the behavioral principles which I will discuss today. One aspect is the kinesthetic behavior, that means people who are experiencing this particular landscape spaces, when they move, what kind of behavioral principles start working with it. After that, I will discuss about various landscape design principles which are classical, which are also approved and agreed by almost all, though there would be some bit of confusions or some bit of lack of clarity in real definition of it, but I will discuss about that in sequence. Okay. Now, let me start with this. The kinesthetic experience. Basically, what is this kinesthesia? Kinesthesia is like, say, when a person or user is in mobility, he is exposed to all 5 senses, and the behavioral senses and other senses, other stimuli which are working, it stimulates the psychophysical conditions of the person. So, if he is looking at a particular landscape while in motion, then it is one kind of stimulation, and if the person is standing at one particular point and trying to see the landscape, that is another kind of stimulation. So, here essentially I will be focusing on the movement things. Okay. Now, where in the history have we seen that they have exploited this particular kinesthetic phenomena? That is in Japanese garden. In fact, all landscapes are to be seen maybe in motion, but one also has an opportunity to see this being static. In Japanese landscape styles, they have deliberately exploited the situation or exploited the phenomena and made the people walk through, so that they have every time a different kind of set of experiences. This, the theoretical background of this, how it happens, how it works, and where it should not really become a problem, that is what I am trying to explain to you today. This slide I have taken essentially to show you, just trying to connect you with the earlier days lecture, in which this refers to the base plane, this refers to the vertical plane, this refers to the base plane, the soffit of the tree becomes the overhead plane, the soffit here which is solid becomes the overhead plane. You are viewing this being static at one particular point, but imagine that if you had been moving through this particular line and going forward, or walking through this and then suddenly take turn or turn left or go in a diagonal manner, the experiences will vary. What you are seeing here as one single shot picture on this would behave differently, rather will come in the foresight of a person, and the experience will be different. And this is what is the kinesthetic effect that I am trying to take you to. I will just fall back on one very standard picture. Before that, let me tell you. So, there will be one is a static vision, in which you have view and vista. What is view? View is you stand at one particular point, your eyesight is open to the forward positions and you are viewing it. Let me give you a bit of theoretical idea about this. When eye is viewing something towards front, if I take this particular line which is aligned with the eye, this particular line is called view line. But the eye is able to see clearly a solid angle which is very clear. Now, this is 30 degree and 30 degree above and 30 degree below the view line. That means, whenever you stand straight, keep your head upright, straight, look forward. I would say if the view line is parallel to the horizon and then you are looking at it, you should be able to see clearly 30 degree above this view line and 30 degree below this view line, and since it is a solid angle, that means 30 degree all around this solid view cone. Okay? This is a clear view. Interestingly, what happens is you are not blind beyond this particular 60 degree limit. Beyond this you also have a view, but that is not a very clear view. Clear view means you have a very focused view in this. You are seeing much beyond. You can sense it without changing your position of the eyeball. You are sensing it that there is something. How do you know that you can see it? If somebody enters into that particular, within that particular zone beyond this 60 degree and comes within this particular angle, then you will be able to feel, yes, somebody has come in. You may be even able to judge what is the characteristics of that particular element which has entered into that visual domain. How much is this? That is altogether 120 degree. That means another 30 degree on either side of this particular line is within your view. But I will tell you very frankly, if you stretch your hand towards the right, stretch your hand towards the left, you can see very vaguely your palm, very vaguely. That means you can view 180 degree. So, theoretically you are supposed to see 180 degree. Fine. Am I concerned about this 180 degree? Yes, we are concerned. I will tell you when. You are concerned about visibility of 180 degree, but beyond this, beyond you cannot see. Beyond 180 degree you cannot see. And interestingly, you cannot see. Interestingly, the fish has the capability, or their, the eye structure is designed in such a manner that they can see beyond even this. So, when they see it even beyond. All right, and that is why we say that fish eye lens. If you have heard about the camera lens, the fish eye lens, if you focus on something, you record pictures which is beyond 180 degree. I am not concerned about that, because if you see, while discussing about the explicit end of the space, we have always considered, or rather discounted, the visual effect of anything which is just behind us when you are viewing it. Okay, I am more concerned about this 60 degree, more concerned that how much I am seeing it. Now, the theory is, you look straight, view line, you are seeing a 60 degree view cone. Don't move your torso, don't move your body, move your head towards my right or towards my left. The moment I rotate it, my view line got changed. How much the view line got changed from the forward line depends on how much my head has been turned around. Okay? So, when you are turning around, you have another situation. Your body is aligned with this line and view line is aligned with this when you are standing straight and looking forward. Stand straight, body heading line is straight. This is what is called body heading line when we are in motion. Body static line is this. Body heading line is when you are heading towards that and your body is moving forward. Okay? Now, this is body heading line and the view line aligned, and body heading line at that static position is this. Your head has turned or the eye has turned So, view line got turned by a certain angle which you have worked. Now, the conflict starts. Conflict starts in terms of your kinesthesia. How? I won't say conflict, something happens, something changes. You are walking towards this and you are looking towards another direction. Think about, forget about the landscape experience, think about just walking and trying to see others. Quite often this becomes hazardous. That means, ideal is your body heading line and the view line is aligned, ideal situation. That means you have no hazards, you are seeing where you are walking, where you are stepping onto, you are seeing it. This situation, suppose in between, within your body heading line and view line, I put an object of interest, of attraction. Then what happens is, your eye which you are seeing 60 degree suddenly will get focused. This focus is to the angle of, it varies between 5 to 15, 5 to 15 degree. That means, what happens is, your body heading line is this, your view line is this, your eyeball has constricted and ultimately focused on an object, which is now the view solid angle created is 5 to 15. Okay. Within this you are seeing it, then you are focused. So, whenever you are seeing something, try to judge, means after listening to me, in your real life you just try to see that you are moving and you are seeing and then you are focusing. So, at this point I would say, what between this 60 degree, what happens is you see. Within this 5 to 15 degree, what happens is you focus. Within this 120 degree, you have a sense of inclusion of something. 180 degree is also a sense of inclusion of something, but the difference is, this is also sense. The difference is, you can make out in 120 degree, you can make out what has entered into your visual domain. In 180 degree, it becomes very difficult to make out what really happened, but you can still have that strength. It is, it varies from person to person with the visual ability to judge or to guess. So, what happens is, in this 120 degree, when you sense, you are sensing something has come in. In 180 degree, you make a judgment, you make a guess. So, this is a sense supported by guess, okay, or guesswork. And it is because of this, one has to be really alert when he is, he's moving somewhere. This phenomena is very strongly exploited in our landscape, very strongly, especially it has been done in Japanese landscape. So, is this clear? If it is, then I am showing you another picture in which, another illustration in which this will be clear. But before that, okay, static vision, focused, there is a foreground, there is a background, there is a distant view, there is a panoramic view, and there is a tilt. You just look at the slide once again. Focused, direct, foreground, that means what we are looking at, whether focusing or less focusing, there is something called background in the front, and there is a foreground in the front, and there is a background behind. So, foreground in the front, background at the back, you have an element of view. You also have a distant objects, that means there is a background, beyond that are distant objects. An example, when I will show you the pictures, I will try to bring you to that, okay. But still, let me give an idea that suppose there is a wonderful flowering tree in front, focused. In the foreground you have a lawn, and at the background you have a hedge or hedgerow. Beyond that is a cloudy sky, or beyond that means if you are looking from slightly from top, then beyond that there is a water body. So, such things will always be there. So, what happens is, when you view it, you are static at this particular point, that means your body heading point, and from here you will start walking, and then another action will take place. Your head will now rotate in two directions. Once you are rotating horizontally, it is panoramic view that you will have, and once you rotate vertically, it is a tilt view that you will have. And the entire, the camera, movie camera is designed with that principle, that you pan and you tilt. Okay, the same principle over here. Only thing is, we become the camera stand with the camera, eye as our camera, and we view it. Now, interestingly, what happens is landscape is a very large area and you are out in the open. Nobody can really control you in terms of whether should you be panning or should you be tilting. Even it cannot be controlled that you should not pan, should not tilt. No, the point is landscape we have created, the user has entered. Now, user is having a full freedom to decide what to do, how to see, how to view, should we pan, should we focus, should we even reject everything, but at a static point. The second one is the vista, in which what happens is that is also a static, means here you will be seeing from a point and looking forward. In the view it was all open on the sides, that means 180 degree open, you can see everything, feel, sense, guess. In the vista it is restricted vertically on the sides. Okay? And once your view is restricted, I will just try to make a figurative sketch for that. One is the point of view and this is the point of vista where you are standing as a viewer. You are looking towards this direction, this is the body heading line as well as this is the view line, and you are sensing up to this 180 degree, you are guessing up to this 180 degree, sensing up to this 120 degree, seeing it up to this 60 degree, focusing up to this 15 to 5 degree. That is what is happening. This only I have given in the form of static, means you are static not only in terms of your position, also static in terms of your movement of the eyes. In vista, same situation, think you are standing here, you have a view line leading towards this, you are looking towards this, and there are something which is placed on the sides, which is vertical. The moment it is vertical, what happens is if it collides with your 60 degree, that means your view now gets obstructed towards this, also here. So, you miss the elements which are on the either side. Once you miss this element, very interestingly eye starts working and the entire movement of the eye, or say the reactions of the eye, gets limited by these vertical elements. And I will not say that the eyesight or view line goes like this, but the thing is your focus gets more converged towards this, anything that you are seeing gets more converged towards this, and ultimately what happens is your entire strength of the visibility that goes and gets connected with this focal point. So, whenever you are, the difference between this is you are standing and in the view position, static position, you are seeing everything in front. It is different degree of visibility depending on this angle. In vista, what happens is whatever is on the side, you are seeing it, but only thing is since you are seeing from the sides, you are having a distorted view of that or another perspective view of that. So, your eye does not really register that much. What happens is the entire strength of the visibility or the view or the reaction of the view gets focused into the focal point. So, it must have a focal point. This focal point may be anything which is a single entity. It may be a building, it may be a bollard, something like a bollard standing. It may be a small one animal just at the center, it may be a person, it may be a tree, it may be something which is a large area, but being focused within, like say it may be a water body. So, what happens is, just imagine if suppose your view is limited by this particular two edges and then you have a water body, and then you are seeing the water body restricted view with a framed view framed by these two elements, and then at the center you have a fountain. What will happen? Your view will straightway flow over the water and ultimately get focused on the fountain. This is how the whole vista concept works. Next is the dynamic vision. In this dynamic vision, what happens is user starts moving. So, what happens as soon as a user entered a landscape site, first views it and then views whether it is panoramic or tilting, and then given an opportunity starts moving. Not given an opportunity, by virtue of the tendencies, expectation tendencies behavior starts moving forward. In which direction they will move? If you are a good landscape designer, if you have planned for it, then definitely you will judge that this user at this point, if he has reached, then he is likely to move forward. And the moment you understand the user's expectation tendencies and behavior, then you will follow preferably that expectation route, and then you design the path accordingly. This is how, means you develop it by virtue of which is guided by the user's expectation. But suppose you want to defy the expectation and you don't want the person to move forward, then you put a fencing, or you put some kind of impediments which cannot be encountered or negotiated. And if you want I want him to see, go further, then you design a path. This path can be of different kinds. You can give a path which is straight. You can say at this point the viewer has come and then is viewing it in this angle, and the viewer has an expectation to move forward. Body heading starts. Tendency of body, expectation of body heading starts, tendency of body heading starts, and the body heading really starts. So the person starts moving. If you have understood that yes, this is the way, if the person is allowed to move freely without any restrictions, then you will find that the person will decide his own body heading line. It may be straight, it may be curved, it may be anything. You have no control. But in the landscape that you have designed, definitely every elements you have put with some cautions and with some objectives, purposes. When you have done this, you definitely want that the experience of the person should be guided by you. And once you decide that you should be guiding the experience, then you put objects at different points, and then you allow the person to move by a very designated path that you have worked out. An example, let me tell you. Suppose you have put a water body here, and you have allowed this viewer to come to this particular point, and you want the viewer to see the water body and not get distracted by any other things. Then what you will do is you will probably give a path which will be leading to the water body. And if you think, no, let them be free, I have given a water body here and I have given say a group of plantations here, let them see it, then it's a free flow. But if suppose you plan, yes, somebody will go to the water body, will have also have option to this, to go to the plantations and then come back here and then go to the water body. Basically, if you see the red lines, what you have done here is your planning, your design. You guided the person to move in the way you wanted. Now, whether this is first or this is first, that is immaterial. If you wanted that this is first and this is second, then what you would have done is, I will just draw with another color, probably in that case you would have done this and then this. The person goes first here, then here. That means what happens is, the whole kinesthetic experience that you want to create in the mind, psychophysical conditions of behavior of the person, it is purely your design. You are deciding as a designer, and there you have to be really very creative, innovative, and also knowledgeable about it. What knowledge you need? You need to know the kind of expectation, tendencies and behavior which I have explained in the last lectures. If you defy it or refute it, I will tell you, people will break the rule. It is because of which, I gave that example earlier also, in many of the parks when you have gone, there is a pathway and then there is a nicely maintained mowed lawn, but there is no fence. You are expecting or relying on the behavior of the people, that okay, they will be now behaving the way they should as a civilian. So what you don't expect is the person who is supposed to walk will step onto the grass. You don't expect, but the thing is, you cannot control everybody's mind, and really it is impossible, neither it is desirable as well. So what you do, you just try to give him a sense that okay, give him a sort of some indication that okay, please don't step on the grass, and you walk on the footwalk and enjoy the grass. So what you do is you put a plaque like on which you have written keep off the grass. If you find that the keep off the grass plaque does not work and people are still violating because they haven't understood exactly what you wanted to signal to them, then what will happen is you will put a fence. And if you find that the fence is of low height which can be scaled, over the years if you see, no, it's not working. The keep up the grass plaque did not work. Even without the plaque it did not work. Then the plaque, the signage didn't work. Then a low height fence, and the low height fence didn't work. People are scaling still. Then you raise the fence, and you raise the fence up to the level which is non-negotiable. These are all the design elements that gets generated. You have no control on the others users. But the thing is, I can still tell you, if the design is good, if the design elements are placed in a very sensible manner, a very innovative manner, then people can be discouraged. Okay? This is the idea. Now here, just look at this particular picture. The kinesthetic effect, the question is, I have been often asked by my students whether the kinesthetic effect works in straight line, or it has to be, in curvilinear manner or in some irregular manner. My point is, kinesthetic effect works every time, whether it is straight or curved. If you are walking straight, still you are subjected to that stimuli, guided by the view, what you are seeing. And if you are moving around, then you are also still seeing. So basically what happens is, you have a serial vision. Let me go back to my earlier slide, in which you will see this. In the dynamic vision, you have serial view frames. That means one frame, next frame, next frame, next frame. You have a sequential experience. From this, at one particular point you have moved to, you have an experience, set of experience. The next zone that you are walking into, another set of experience, and then in the whole process you are being connected from one to another. When I will discuss about the design principle, I will highlight on this with my sketchy examples. Okay, the whole thing is kinesthetic. Now if it is straight, no problem. Basically what happens is, if it is straight, then you go from one zone to another, but since you are not moving your eyes beyond that 60 degree, and you are straight, body heading line and the view line is in the same direction, then what happens is, you see the same objects, same elements within that view cone. Only difference is, the objects which you are distant, they will now become closer to you because you have gone closer to them, and the scale or the size will increase in your image. Okay, it's only that. But if you are moving in the curvilinear directions, then what happens is that you have a different view frames. Here the view frame remains almost same here like this, but it simply gets enlarged in terms of the containing objects. But if it is curvilinear one, in such cases the view frame also keeps on changing. So many other elements keep on entering, many elements get rejected. This particular idea, which gives a kind of psychophysical stimuli in the mind of the viewer, and this is what is the kinesthetic experience that one has. And this is generated, or rather created, with the pattern of circulation that we design. So in my next lecture I will explain how it is done. Okay, thank you.